Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message reads like this. Hello my brother, how are you? So when I got married, this was when I was still in high school. Unfortunately, I had made some wrong decisions in my life, and the man whom I thought was going to be my husband until death was going to do us apart. Then the man, he was a married guy who had been lying to me, even though I had seen some red flags when we were still involved with each other before I had fallen pregnant for him. But I chose to ignore all of those red flags because I thought that it was far much better to be with a man who could actually take care of me rather than to be with a boy from our school who could not even take care of me. So this man, he used to give me a lot of money. This was quite a lot of money. I was even able to assist my mom, who was a single mom. With my mom, she knew that I was actually dating a man that was actually older than I was, but she chose also to ignore everything. When I would not return back home, my mom will never complain or to ask me where I had gone to. I finally fell pregnant for that guy. Then my mom said that I could not stay with her anymore because I had been sleeping around. She had forgotten that I used to bring a lot of money and groceries that I was getting from this man. My mom kicked me out of her house. This was late at night. I didn't know what to do, so I called that guy, and I had not yet told him that I was pregnant. He came and he picked me up whilst I was sitting in his car. That was when I showed him the pregnancy test that showed that indeed I was pregnant. He then got shocked and he said, how could I have ever allowed myself to fall pregnant for him since he was a married guy? This was after I had told him that I wanted to go and stay with him at his place, and he said that you cannot do that because I am married. What is my wife going to say? He then suggested that it was far much better that I have an abortion. I refused, Brother Nashi, and he said, so what are you going to do? Because this child, I do not want it. He already had 5 kids, and he said that he didn't want to have another child because financially it was going to strain him. The only thing that he said to me was that if your mom doesn't want to take care of you, we can go and I will look for an apartment for you so that you can start staying in that apartment. That was fine by me. The only condition was that I had to agree that once he had gotten the apartment for me, I was going to have that abortion. That very same night, me and him, we then went and we slept at this other hotel, and after that he went out and he found a room for me to stay. Then I started staying there. He would regularly come. This was after he had actually convinced me to go and have an abortion. So I was now like his an official second wife. He would regularly come and stay with me. Since I was someone who had an abortion previously, this thing, it was affecting me a lot. So like to make myself feel a little bit better, I then fell pregnant for him again, and he was angry at me, thinking that he was going to abandon me because he had said that why am I acting so stupid, because he had said that I was supposed to use some family planning, but I was always feeling depressed. I had said that if I can have another child, then I would forget about that child that I once had and then had an abortion. So I fell pregnant, and when I fell pregnant, the day that he told me that if I was going to fall pregnant again, he was going to stop taking care of me because out there were other women that were quite clever that can never have a child with a man that doesn't want to have any children anymore. So looking at that situation, I then said I do not have money right now, because the money that he was giving me, it was the money that was always enough for the basic stuff that I needed to buy at that time, and he didn't want to give me a lot of money. Since I was young, he kept on saying that if I give you money, then you are going to run away from me. So it was like sort of like a financial abuse that he was making me to go through. Then, Brother Nashi, what then happened is that I started visiting some traditional healers, since those ones are the ones that are cheap. Close to the place where I was staying, there was this other traditional market where there were a lot of people that were selling traditional herbs and different stuff that I used even when people are doing their rituals. I went there and I approached this other elderly woman who seemed to be very friendly. Me and her, we spoke, and I told her my situation. After I had told her my situation, she offered me help. She said that she was going to give me some herbs. These herbs that she gave me, they were in form of a tree bark that had been dried, and I was supposed to put it in water, like soaking it in the water throughout the night. Then the following morning, I was supposed to drink it so that I can have that abortion. I drank the herbs after soaking that tree bark through the night. Then the next morning, I woke up and I started drinking it. Brother Nashi, as I was drinking that water, I actually felt that the baby that I was carrying in my womb, it was like losing its life. The baby was dying. Then I started bleeding. I bled so much, it was like overflowing. I tried using 2 pads at the same time, but it was not even working. When I saw that this was the way that I was bleeding, when the blood was a little bit better, I then went back to that woman who had assisted me. When I went there, that woman gave me some numbers of a traditional healer whom I could consult with. That woman then told me that she was a herbalist and she didn't have powers like to consult with me because she cannot speak with her ancestors. So I then went and I started consulting with that other traditional healer, the one that she had directed me to. When I went there, that traditional healer spoke with these ancestors, and he then told me that what had happened to me, what was causing all of this blood to be overflowing, it was because the child that I had been carrying, God had prepared a great future for that child. So this was like a punishment that I was receiving from my ancestors as well as from God, because I had destroyed something that God wanted to use. This child that I was carrying, it was a child that God was going to use after the child had been born and after the child had matured. When I had this, already I was someone who was depressed. I became more depressed. That traditional healer then said that I had to go and I had to be washed clean, but we had to do this first at the graveyards. But after doing this at the graveyards, then I had to go and wash myself by the side of the river, and he was going to be there with me. At that time, since I didn't have any money, I said, so how much is it going to cost me? It was a lot of money, Brother Nashi, that I could never even afford. Even if I would try to beg my husband, who was my husband at that time, for that kind of money, he was never going to give me that kind of money because it was a lot. You could actually buy about 15 cattle with that money that the traditional healer had suggested that I should give him. I just sat there, Brother Nashi, and I started crying because I didn't know what to do anymore. Then that traditional healer told the ones that were helping him in that consulting room, there were some women that were helping him as well as some men that were his assistants. He then gave them an order to go and wait for him outside because he wanted to have a one-on-one session with me. So they all went out, and he then closed the door behind him, and he came and he sat right next to me, and he said that, what are you going to give me so that I can help you? I said, I do not have anything. I do not have any money. I was quite young. He then took his walking stick and he pointed his walking stick as he was standing at my private part. He said, if you give me this thing, then I am going to do this for you. I'll do it for free. So I ended up doing that, Brother Nash. Right there, he stripped me and we started sleeping together. After he had slept with me, he said that he was going to assist me, but I was not supposed to return back to my husband. I had to stay with him for 2 more days because he had found me to be very good as he was sleeping with me. I said, But if I do not return back to the place where my husband is renting for me, then he is going to suspect that now I am cheating on him, and what am I going to do? He then took some herbs, he burnt these herbs, and he told me that I had to blow into the smoke. As I will be blowing, I had to say the name of my husband so that he won't even bother to know where I was whilst I was staying with this traditional healer. So for 2 days, I stayed with this traditional healer as his own wife. After that, he then took me to the graveyard. When we went to the graveyard, it was late at night. It was me and him and his assistants, and I was walking naked because he said that whilst we were going to the graveyard, this was like a representation of me dying, and once we would have done that ritual, then the next morning when they would take me to the river, sort of like baptizing me, then it meant that my old life was gone and all the sins that I had committed before, all of them were gone. So my brother, we did those rituals, and I was then taken to the river where I was kind of like baptized, and I became a new woman. With time, Brother Nashi, after I had gotten divorced from my own husband, I tried to get into several relationships, but I failed to have a child. I totally failed to have a child until I grew so much tired of looking for a child, and I said that is fine. At the same time, I had a job and I was just surviving. Then I got fired as well. It was bad luck upon bad luck that I was going through at that period in my life. I then sought another traditional healer who could assist me. This time around, I was not looking for love. All that I wanted was some kind of good luck. Then as that traditional healer was speaking with me, he then said that he had been shown by his ancestors that I was a woman who had suffered, and as a woman who had lost a lot in her life, they wanted to assist me. The way that they were going to assist me was that this man, he was going to give me some items that I would end up using for making money. The items that were given to me, it is more like an idol. This idol, it is not very big. It can even fit in one of my smallest handbags. Wherever I am, this idol is supposed to be there with me, and this idol, I treat it as if it is my own God. I pray to this idol, even if when I say that I want to fast, I fast, but not fasting like I want to praise God, but I would fast whilst I will be praising this idol. I go to church. The church that I go to, these are your Pentecostal churches, but even if when I am in church, in my small purse, that idol that was given to me, it will be there. People can actually like hear me praying and they would think that I am an honest child of God. But when I pray, I just avoid mentioning the names of the Lord, so that I will be praying directly to this idol that I would have placed inside my smallest handbag. So Brother Nashi, I've been living in this situation for a very long time. That man who gave me these herbs, he said, what do you have to lose, because you are not going to have children anyway, so just use your body so that you can at least have a meaningful life. And when I look at my life, I lack nothing, Brother Nashi. All that I want, I get it in time. Each and every day when I go to bed, if it is in terms of money, I do not have any stresses at all. The only stress is that the last child that I carried, the one whom I ended up having that abortion whilst I was carrying him, what people told me, that is what worries me. When I was told that the child that I was carrying, the reason as to why I was being punished, it was because the child had a great future that God had prepared for him or for her, but I saw it fit for me to end the life of this child that I was carrying. There are times whereby I feel so much depressed, but that traditional healer told me that whenever I feel depressed, then this idol of mine, my God, will feel angry at me. Then the God will decide not to give me anything or to bless me. So sometimes I think about it, but I know that this idol of mine, it is far much better plans than the plans that were laid for me by the one who is called that he is the one who created us. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that I received. It was forwarded to me by one of our admins. Just imagine when she said that even when I am in church in my small purse, I'll be having my idol with me. I can even pray, but without mentioning the name of Jesus Christ. Yo,